Okay, call to order the meeting of the Anger Board of Commissioners, regular meeting Tuesday, August 1st, 2023. If you'll stand with me, we'll do the Pledge of Allegiance followed by the invocation. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Let us pray. Almighty God, watch over us, watch over our divisions, watch over our unity, watch over this town and make it a really, really special place to live. Amen. All right. The agenda is before you with consent of the board. There was some talking about the projects that we've got before us, and I would suggest that be delayed for 2 weeks to our meeting workshop. Yes, if that's okay with the board. All right. Is there a motion as to the agenda? Motion has been made that we approve the agenda, and again, nothing else on it. If not, all in favor, please raise your right hand. So it's approved, Madam Clerk. All right. We have
Mr. Smith, or
yes.
Mayor Smith. Could I interrupt you for 1 second?
Sure.
I meant to get to you before the invocation. I just want to take a moment to acknowledge we lost one of our very, very important founding men of this town who did a lot for development, farmer, builder, and the family is continuing to do so. But those kind of men don't come along very often. But Mr. Dwight Stevenson passed away, and his funeral was this afternoon. And I just want to take a minute to think about him and the kind of man he was. And Andrew will truly miss him.
Thank you for mentioning that. Would it be appropriate for the board to approve a motion of remembrance to Mr. Stevenson?
I think that would be lovely for all that he has done in development of this town. Yes, I would make a motion that we make an acknowledgement through Veronica or a letter from the town, just wishing the family, our prayers and things, but in recognition of all that he had done for Anger and the time that he spent helping it grow and develop.
Excellent. All in favor, raise your right hand, and it is so ordered. Okay. Thank you for that. Okay, this is a time of public comment. By law, we, and just because it makes sense, we want to allow public comment during the board meeting, the first of the month. We have 4 people signed up, and I will recognize them in order that they signed up. If you'll, when you come up, repeat your name and give us your address, please. We will not necessarily be able to take action on what you propose at this point, but we certainly welcome your comment. Mr. Joe Langley.
I'm too short for this. Is it on?
Yes.
Okay. Joe Langley, 298 Kirk Adams Road, Anger. Good evening, Commissioners. And today I stand before you with deep appreciation to the Anger ABC Board, whose recent generous donation to the Boys and Girls Club of Central Carolina is a commitment to the welfare of our community's future leaders. I want to take a moment to emphasize the profound impact of this donation as the funds are designated to support the Smart Start program. This vital initiative, facilitated by the Boys and Girls Club of Central Carolina, plays a crucial role in educating our children about the dangers of alcohol and substance abuse. Through the Smart Start program, these young minds are equipped with invaluable knowledge, empowering them to make informed and responsible decisions. By investing in this educational endeavor, the ABC Board is directly contributing to the well-being of our youth, helping to nurture a generation of responsible, aware, and resilient individuals. Once again, thank you to the Andrew ABC Board.
Thank you, sir. I agree with you. Irma Esquivel. Pull that down a little bit.
Hello, my name is Irma Esquivel, and I'm the owner of the hair salon across the street from the library, which is located at
That's all right. Just
55
hold it in your hand. It'll be fine.
55 West Depot Street, and I'm just seeking for the approval of the crepe myrtle to be removed from its current location, because due to the fact that it's located very close to the sewer line that's there, and I believe it
Okay.
will cause.
Which one is that? The one in front of your shop? Or?
Yes, sir. That one. It's on
Is this
55.
one? Is this one of the ones in the sidewalk that was
Yes.
planted in the sidewalk?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yes, and that's all I'm asking for. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. We'll refer that to Jimmy for investigation. And if you'll let us know what you find, Jimmy, at the next meeting. All right. Two representatives from Ting Fiber, Scott Barker and Patrick Mulhern.
Yes, Mayor, Commissioners, thank you so much. We'll be available should you have any questions or comments during item 5, old business. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right. The consent agenda is there any other public comment? I think that's all that signed up. All right. The consent agenda, approval of the minutes for July the 5th and July the 11th of this year. The regular meeting and the workshop. Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
I'll go ahead and approve the minutes for the consent agenda as written.
Okay. All in favor, please raise your right hand. Okay, it's unanimous. I'm going to catch you off guard and ask for a voice vote. You need to pay attention to what I'm doing here. Okay. All right. Old business. So the police department is recommending a reduction of speed limits from 35 to 25 miles an hour on streets that are not maintained by the state. Is that correct, Jimmy?
Yes, sir. So I think at our last board meeting, Chief and I came back and were authorized to kind of look at some cost to see about putting the 25 mile an hour speed limit signs on all our roads. So for you, we've got with the quotes for that to put those up. That's in front of you. If we wanted to put a 25 mile an hour speed limit sign on all that. So we actually got a price from a vendor who actually purchased the signs and put those, installed those for us. So that's just for your, for you to review and look at. And if you want us to proceed with that, then we can go ahead and moving forward
It's
with that.
$32,322.38. Okay. I have a question. Dan, if you go 15 miles an hour over the speed limit, there are additional penalties. Would that apply if the speed limit is 25 miles an hour? For instance, if you go 70 and a 55, there are additional.
I believe can be a misdemeanor instead of an infraction.
Right. Okay.
Yes.
So just so people are aware, if we reduce these speed limits down to 25, if you go 40, then it could be a misdemeanor. Everybody understand that?
Yes. So we would need for you all to determine if you want to use this vendor to purchase the signs and install them all at one time, or if you want to purchase the signs and then have Jimmy's team install them incrementally over a period of time.
How many vendors have you looked at?
I just did one. He's done a lot of the local signage for the developments around here. So
I
Jim-
would like to have another one.
Well, okay.
My thought was, I mean, we got an estimate a month or two ago, just what we thought it might be of something, and this is just substantially higher than
Yeah.
what that quote was. So I'm
But
curious,
that's-
but that was us doing it, was it not, Jimmy?
correct. The estimate that I gave you, gave the board, was just based on the numbers that if I reach out to our vendor that we just purchased the signs only, that's what that would be. So if we just purchase those ourselves, then you're looking at roughly around the $17,000 total. I think I may give you 15,000.
But I was
if I
somewhere
look at mine.
15 to 17, yeah, something like that. I mean,
Materials
that's
and
a,
everything,
yeah.
cost and everything about the same. It's just their labor that
Sure.
put those in.
Jimmy, how
which
long-
is a matter of calling it a locate, going in there, and then excavating, driving the pole in, and us going and showing them where we want those at. So, and like I said, his labor is just the larger cost versus we doing ourselves. But he could do that in a more timely manner, as the manager mentions. We can do it periodically.
Right.
Where we've got a lot going on. We just it could be done more for us. It would be more in the wintertime when grass season slows down, so we could
Sure.
implement it more. You'd see more then, and we could get with chief if the board wants to go that route. We could get with the chief and see which ones would be the high priorities first. Start doing there, and then working back out. So.
Well, I can speak right now. I am personally in favor of saving $17,000. I know it's asking you guys, and yes, they'd probably come in here and have them done in a week's time or whatever. I think it's fine to stagger the way they're done and when you have the time to do it. But to me, $17,000 is a lot of money.
And it's actually 13.5.
That's the assembly and installation.
So that would be where I would be leaning. Got to tell you right now. So that's the way I kind of feel about it.
I agree.
It's not like something that has to be done overnight or immediately, but definitely is worth the time. Jimmy, with this, I think we asked you this question once before. Is there something that may be there already that as you come in that says unless
Otherwise.
unless otherwise listed, speed limits in the town of Venger are 25 miles an hour?
I think majority of that signage, I don't recall seeing any stating that, but that would be on your DOT roads. So
Right, yeah.
So in
The
other words, you don't
four.
have the conflict of putting that sign on Highway 210 or 55 if those people are just traveling those those
Yes.
areas. So it to me it would get a little confusing. You're saying 25 mile an hour posted throughout the town, but somebody sees the 35 mile an hour sign along the main
Okay.
thoroughfares.
Why do you need 90 signs?
Well, when we looked at all the roads that did not have them, so we'll make sure we put one on every street. So I think whenever we did a little bit of investigation through some of Lee's staff, within the subdivisions, we may not, that's basically one way in, one way out, or if it's posted at the front of, if you've got two entrances, you can put it there and you can put a smaller sign said this applies to all streets within the subdivision. So that way you wouldn't, but the new subdivisions where, the developer is putting speed limit signs on all those streets.
There used to be a provision to say, unless otherwise posted, the speed limit in the town is X. Dan, could you try to see if you can find that? And Okay.
Did we not approve that ordinance at our last meeting?
Oh, we had.
25 miles an hour?
Yeah.
Yes. So this is the continuation of that ordinance.
Okay, what's the desire of the board?
Well, I'll just go ahead and make a motion. How about that? If you don't want to go with it now, but like I just said, I feel that I would rather let Jimmy and the town do it as time permits to get these changes made, because I think it's worth the saving of that amount of money. So I don't think you even need to look for a second a quote to do this. I say, let's go ahead and I'm making a motion that we approve the town doing it itself, I guess would be what I would say.
Are you, to clarify, are you saying go ahead and buy the signs, but let the town install them? Is that
Correct.
what you're saying?
Yes.
90 signs, okay. Does that, everybody understand that? Okay.
Jimmy, how long do you think you take to get them done?
How long?
Mhm.
Well, as I mentioned, I mean, we can put more resources towards it after grass seeding. So you're looking at, October, starting probably October, November, and more during the wintertime when we're not cutting grass. So we'll get more done then. So hard to give you a time frame on that, because, we can call in several locates in advance and just stay in front of the locates.
Do we have any money that we're not is sitting somewhere that we're not got appropriated somewhere? I mean, one life's worth more than $13,000, and it's going to take them a lot of time to get it up. I mean, do we have any money sitting anywhere? I agree, we want to save every dollar we can, but I don't want somebody to get killed out there neither.
I think we talked about using PAL bill.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. We would be using PAL bill funds for this project.
Would the Powell bill fund the whole thing?
Oh, yes, sir. Yep. Because the Powell bill fund has about $120,000 in it, and we're not
course.
paving streets this year.
Normally you use that for paving, right?
That's correct. But this, in next budget cycle, we'll do our paving.
All right, any further discussion of the motion? The motion is to, I assume you mean purchase from this vendor the 90 signs.
No,
And-
sir. I'll purchase from my vendor. That's correct. Yeah. The quote that I got from my vendor was for just the signs was in line with what we had here.
Okay, do you understand that in
I
your
totally
motion?
do. Yes.
Okay.
I'm wanting
So-
the town to take control of all of it. Yes.
So the motion is to allow Jimmy to buy 90 traffic control signs and to install them as time permits. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right, all in favor of that, please raise your right hand. All opposed? Okay, it's 3-1, Madam Clerk. Thank you, Jimmy.
Yes, sir.
All right, the next thing is to extend the sidewalk along North Broad Street from Junie Road to the Bailey property. Who's going to present on that? You are? Okay.
I've got this one and the next one. Yes, sir. All right. So down here where CCS equipment is on North Broad Street, so Mr. Travis Bailey was looking at putting in a built-to-last shop down there just before you get to CCS equipment. And so by our ordinance, he's required to install curb, gutter, and sidewalk just to his property. And as you can see on the photo that I sent you there, that's the corner of right there of Junie Road and North Broad Street. So from where his project would stop, we would just extend the curb and gutter along to Junie Road and have a handicap ramp there, which will tie into our lap project along Junie Road, where we're putting sidewalk on the south side of Junie Road going up. And so all that would just tie in together. So you'd have sidewalk, you'd be able to walk to the post office all the way down to CCS equipment.
So you're talking about running down here.
That's correct. Yes, sir.
Is it more economical to do all of that at once, to combine it with the other project?
Well, it depends on if you want a sidewalk in a year or do you want a sidewalk in 3 years, because those lap projects take about 3 years. But all this would tie in, and probably where that second light pole is approximately probably about 170 feet down. And so, and you know, all that's depending on the timing of Mr. Bailey. So what we would do is just work in conjunction with him, and then and so you'd have it engineered and surveyed, and then so what we would do is get a cost estimate from him. We would look at it and compare the pricing. If the pricing is within our scope, then we would just allow him to just go ahead and put in everything at one time. So it's not, our contract comes in behind him. So we're just trying to work all this together. If his pricing are a little bit higher than, what we're looking at, then we could, look at doing that ourselves.
Okay, just to clarify, this the developer is putting this in?
The developer has to put it in on his project. All right, but his property stops 170 feet short of Junie Road.
Okay,
And so
I see
what we're
what
going
you're
to do is
doing.
just fill in the pieces. So
Down there.
that's correct.
Who
yes, sir.
owns the property adjacent to the road at that point?
That property along there would be Bulldog Hose.
Would normally they be required to put the curb and gutter in?
Not if it's an existing. Yep.
Okay,
This is only for new construction.
all right, just be
So
sure
that's why
we understand.
Mr. Bailey's required to do it all the way in front of his property, all the way down to CCS Equipment.
We're looking at 50,000.
That's my best estimate, and I was taking some of those numbers off of what we did for our lap project on 210. Hopefully, it should be a little bit less than that, but I was just trying to give worst
Ballpark.
case scenarios.
Okay. So the motion would be to either approve it or not approve it.
So I think what staff is looking for is if the board is comfortable with moving forward, and once we get closer, we'll actually come back with a truer cost and a developer's agreement with that. So we'll have a more firm number when he gets further along in his project.
Okay, so the motion, if there is a motion, it would be just to approve the scope and the prospects here, and we'll get the pricing later.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Is
sir.
that correct?
Yep, that's what I'm hearing. I would make a motion that we move forward with getting the estimate on this. The whole plan of this sidewalk plan in the town was developing connectivity, and this is a great opportunity to take what we already have done, add a little bit onto what a developer is about to do for us, and this is a good opportunity. So I make the motion that we let him proceed with getting the final cost and move forward with this.
Okay. Any discussion? If not, all in favor, please raise your right hand. It's unanimous. Okay, thank you, Jimmy. And you've got one more?
Yes, sir. You ready?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So I think it was back in March, we came before you with a proposed developers agreement to upsize a water line from 8 inches to 12 inches. That's along from going from Cambridge to Vaughn Farms. If you go down 55, you go past the church. Vaughn Farms is going to be on the left. And so we would like to extend the 12-inch line, for possible future growth along the 55 corridor. And so when Bill, our engineer, looked at it, we felt that a 12-inch line would be adequate to serve possibly future customers. And so while we looked at, we came up with a developer's agreement here, and we were able to get a firm price from the developer. I think at that time I was estimating between $75,000 and roughly $100,000 back in March, and we've got that number to around $77,000 for that. And so basically, what the town is just paying for is the material upgrade from an 8-inch to a 12. So you got 8-inch water line going to a 12, 8-inch gate valves going to a 12. So we're just paying for the difference in the materials, not for him to dig and bury pipe, but just pay for the materials difference.
And this has been standard for years. If you're going to dig and put a pipe in the ground and it's adequate to cover the subdivision, then the point is to make it larger so it'll cover additional
Correct.
subdivisions
We've done that
and
on-
needs.
Yes, sir. We've done that a lot on our sewer projects where The developer may be only required to do an 8-inch sewer line. That's usually the standard. But like on our outfall lines, we would actually increase that size to fit our future needs.
So Jimmy, the proposed development is still going off Roy Adams Road.
Yes, sir.
How does that impact? I mean, they don't have no buy-in on this, or
No, this is totally different. Everything along Roy Adams Road, the developer will install those utilities, and then once those are installed, and then we'll actually take over maintenance of those once they're installed. So with that particular one, I think we've got a 6-inch line going down that stops at the end of Roy Adams. And so when they do their hydraulic analysis, they'll determine what size of water line that they'll need. I think in this particular case, they're going to have to upsize to an 8 to be able to meet their fire flows.
and this all flows into the Altman deal that we did with Altman's?
No, sir, that's a little bit different. So
Something different.
the Altman property was just a spot for us to put in the booster station.
Okay,
So,
okay.
correct. This one is just for the Vaughn Farms alone, just to upsize that line there.
Gotcha.
And then the only thing, if the board is comfortable with that, we just need for the board to give the manager permission to sign the agreement. I think you've all got the agreement in front of you. Dan has reviewed the agreement, and he was comfortable with.
Okay, I
with the
see him
agreement.
shaking his head. Okay, the landowner, the developer has already signed this.
Yes, sir.
So the motion would be to approve the agreement with Wellens. It is Wellens, isn't it? Yeah.
Yes, sir. I think he's got how the development agreement is written up.
Mr. Mayor, while we're thinking about that, on our forms here, and I see them come and go, and I know with some new people coming on the boards eventually, it might be a great asset to them. It has requested motion on here. Why aren't we putting what y'all request us to make the motion on here?
That's
Some
my
has,
fault.
some
I
doesn't.
missed that.
Huh?
I missed that on the draft. So going
Okay.
forward, we will have I move to approve or deny whatever
Okay.
the
That will only be
Stated.
one demerit.
only
Very
one.
minor thing. Okay?
That's good.
All right. Okay. So the motion is to approve the infrastructure agreement with RP Wellens Land and Development, whereas the town essentially is paying for the additional pipe to be
Correct.
put in.
And we,
Size of the pipe.
we will not be responsible for that until it's actually installed, inspected by town staff, and then taken over.
Okay.
And then so at that time, then we'll actually compensate the developer. So we'll be coming back for you sometime to do a budget amendment just to move the money into this year's budget.
Quick answer for me here, and then I think I know. Where are the possibilities for that money to come from? Because I know funds can only be used for water, sewer, and
We're
developments.
going to check and see if we can use that through our system development fees and see if that's a possibility.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank
So
you.
that's what we'll look at. But we'll when we get ready to do the budget amendment, we'll inform you a little bit more where we can and cannot take those out of.
Okay. Thank you.
Can you repeat that motion, Mr. Mayor?
So if someone want to make the motion, it's that we approve the agreement with RP Wellens Land and Development to increase the size of the water line from 8 inches to 12 inches, and the town will pay for the difference between 8 and 12.
And the town manager's authorized to sign the contract.
Right.
Thank you.
I make said motion.
What
Okay.
motion was that?
Don't you go there.
Pipeline from 8 to 12 and giving the manager permission to sign.
Okay. Any discussion? If not, all in favor, please raise your right hand. And it's unanimous. All right. Good enough.
All right. Thank you, board.
Thank you, Jimmy.
Thank you, Jimmy. Good job. I take it you're next, Elizabeth.
I am.
Okay.
The next item before you is Gospel in the Park. We discussed this briefly at our July 5th meeting, and the consensus of the board was to bring back a contract that would allow the town to be reimbursed should the event be canceled or to have a rain date. That contract has been amended and is before you, as well as the dollar amount of sponsorship that you all stated you wanted to do, $3,000. And that line item would be under the Planning and Zoning Department for special events. And your requested motion is to give the town manager authority to sign the contract for Gospel in the Park.
Okay. Any questions?
Mr. Mayor, I'd move to give the town manager the authority to sign the contract for the Gospel in the Park.
Okay. Any discussion?
That is staying at.
This is at the depot.
Got it.
Yes.
It's at the depot. I thought you said.
They call it Gospel in the Park. I think it's because it's the depot park. I'm not 100% sure.
RHL
Yeah.
is a square.
Okay. That was confusing.
It
All
was
right.
deceiving. I'm sorry.
No more demerits. You're fine. All right. Okay. So the motion is to approve the
Give the town manager authority
the
to
town
sign.
manager authority. I was trying to find a word to describe it. The issue. All in favor of the giving the town manager authority to sign the agreement, raise your hand. Okay, once again, it's unanimous. Okay. All right, moving right along. Okay, well, Ting Fiber.
Yes, Mayor. A couple months ago, you heard a presentation from Ting. They are a fiber internet provider who would like to install fiber throughout the town of Anger to provide internet for citizens. Jimmy and I met with their team, and we believe that this would be an asset to the town. Patrick Mulhern is here, as he introduced himself earlier, to answer technical questions should those arise. Ting has also requested space to set a cabinet on town-owned property, and in return, we would get free internet for that. That agreement will be forthcoming. Dan and I will work on that. There's no financial impact at this time, but of course be aware anytime there's boring construction going on, there's the possibility of damaging utilities, which would require our staff to go fix those. Dan has reviewed the encroachment agreement, and so the request before you, if you don't have any questions, is to approve the encroachment agreement to install fiber throughout the town.
Okay, and once again, what is the speed that we're talking about here? If you can explain that.
Mayor, Commissioners, we will be providing 2 gigabit symmetrical connections to every house that we pass. So it's 2,000 megabits per second going both ways. Typically,
Up and
unit
down.
connections will have a different up speed and down speed, but this will provide the same speed going both up and down. And if I just may clarify briefly, for your financial impact, should we or our vendors damage any municipal infrastructure, we'll be on the hook for fixing that. That's on us. Yes.
Or any wires or conduits or anything.
Yes, sir, that's correct.
Okay.
Where are y'all located, sir?
Well,
We're currently, our main office here is in the Apex, but we service Holly Springs, Fuquay, Wake Forest, Roseville. We're currently in the Sanford Market as well building.
And Anger.
And
yes, sir.
we
And
got
Andrew.
that's our goal tonight. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right.
What do we have now?
We're looking
Nothing.
At most a megabyte.
early fourth quarter. We want to get
Why do they want us?
I mean,
sooner we
gigabyte,
Sooner we get
yeah.
it in here, sooner residents have it.
they're going to put it in the whole town. Excuse me?
Yeah, and I think Mr. Coates asked it once before. He just told me that I want to ask you again. Why do you want Anger?
Well, we're looking for places to expand. This seems like a place that has need for what we're providing. It's also proximate to our existing infrastructure in Fuquay, so it's just another hop down here, and we're ready to go. We're actually already in Harnett County. This seems like the most logical place for us to go next. It's a beautiful place, and it looks like y'all are poised for some serious growth. So we would like to be a part of that. We view our relationship to the community in long term because our infrastructure is 100-year infrastructure. We plan on being here for a long time as well. So we're looking forward to a long relationship with you.
What's the reliability compared to regular cable?
Typically, reliability rate is 99% plus. Typically with fiber, unless it gets cut or somebody, the cabinets that we put in, somebody hits them or something goes down, our infrastructure works. So it's 100% glass. It's all fiber straight into your house. So there's nothing to go bad. The worst case scenario is, like I said, fiber gets cut or a little piece of equipment that we put in the homes goes out. But we're reliable enough that we see a 0.05% churn rate, which is typically unheard of from typical MSOs that provide coax service.
So not a lot of turnover. Once we get people connected, they typically stay with us.
And Dan, have you done the research on this? They're bonded and all of that? Bonded?
Yes, sir.
Our contractors they also all carry $1 million plus COI. So anything that's hit, they're more than covered. It's typically what's required for Holly Springs Fuquay, so generally it's $1 million plus.
So you use subcontractors to install it?
Yeah, we will use a subcontractor. They are generally overseen and QC by our internal personnel. You typically supervisors that work out of my Apex office will be here overseeing those guys.
But the actual connections to the homes are done by our internal teams.
We don't contract installs or a person that goes to your house to do the work unless it's the drop going to the home. That is a contractor, but anything going in homes is 100% internal. We don't contract any of that.
And I mean, I haven't had a chance to read it. That's from line on the attorney. If you have a crews to come out here to install all the utilities, I call it utilities and all of that, and you decide you're not going to pay them, is Andrew stuck having to pay them?
We are. We cover it. We're not contracting anyone.
Okay.
Mayor, can I go ahead and make the motion?
Sure.
I'd like to make the motion that we approve the encroachment agreement with the Ting fiber internet to be installed throughout the town.
Okay. Further discussion? If not, all in favor, please raise your right hand. Okay, it's unanimous once again.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Yay.
And we will also be looking forward to that give back to the community that you're so well known for, because that was a big lure as well. Where did I go recently? And I just went by some park that was Ting Park.
Yes, Ting Park.
So we're looking forward to you
Beautiful park.
I'll look forward
bringing
to
some of
meeting
that to
you all
Andrew.
once we get started here and look for opportunities for us to find ways to support the community.
Thank you,
sir.
guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, number 6, amendment to the police department building RFQ, request for quote.
Okay, so you all have been working on this project for a while. Richard was instrumental in getting us to this point, and he wrote the RFQ, request for qualifications, to find a design build team to assist us with building a police department. He recommended that staff, including Chief Thompson, Jimmy Cook, and Hans Kalowitz, would meet with the firms that did present to you back in the spring and just get to know them better, understand their process. And in having those conversations, we determined that perhaps the square footage that Richard put in the RFQ was a little on the small side at 5,000 square feet. We certainly don't want to build a building that we are already outgrown by the time that we get into it. So in those discussions, we decided that 6,500 to 7,000 square feet was more reasonable. Some of that space will probably be roughed in and not finished space to allow for future offices. We're not requesting to change the overall budget. We're just simply requesting to amend the square footage, and there was a scheduling conflict, so the pre-conference date was moved. And with your approval, I will release this to the interested firms tomorrow.
So this is just an amendment. The RFQ's already been posted.
The RFQ has not been released. This
Oh, okay.
before you tonight is what Richard drafted with the change of the square footage to from 5,000 to 6,500 to 7,000. And then if you approve what is before you tonight, it will be sent to the interested design firms.
Okay, by using the word amend, I assumed it was going to be a separate document, but you're just going to amend the original
Okay,
RFQ?
I changed the original RFQ. Is that better?
That works.
Okay.
There you go.
Okay.
Okay.
Elizabeth, Ms. Town Manager, let me ask you a question. I know you explained it to me because I called you about it.
Yeah.
I don't know if you have everybody else, but can you tell us what the additional space is for?
Yes. So what Richard used was the original floor plan from the municipal building that was supposed to be built on site back here. And that floor plan had a lot of shared space. So shared break room, shared bathroom, those type of things. We were short an office in the original RFQ that Richard wrote. So this is simply to recognize that there's not going to be an opportunity to share space between departments because we're now housing the police department separately. There also needs to be room for an emergency operations center. And as I said, some of the offices will likely be just roughed in and not finished to allow for future growth.
Is this going to fit on that piece of property? Okay.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Any other discussion? Is there a motion to?
I make a motion to approve the proposed changes to the RFQ for the Andrew Police Department.
Increasing it to
The square
6,500 to 7,000 square feet. And there was one other change you mentioned.
It was simply changing the pre-conference date. I mean,
Okay,
I
that's-
normally would not
that's
bring
adminis-
that to you.
That's
but-
ministerial. Okay. All right. Any discussion? If not, all in favor of the motion, please raise your right hand. Okay. Thank you. All right. Thank you, Madam Town Manager. Okay. New business. Who's presenting the Ace Car Show request?
That would be me.
Okay.
I received a call from Brian Guy with Auto Culture Events. He was originally approved February 7th at the Board of Commissioners meeting to have a large event road closure over at the depot area for a car show scheduled November 11th. The same thing that he had last November. But he did call because he wanted to change locations. He wanted to move it down to the park instead of the depot area.
Okay. So that's what's moving to the park. Okay.
Correct.
All right. And
this is Brian.
okay.
I'm back again.
Tell us what's going on, Brian.
Well, we've done 2 shows so far, and both shows have been terrific turnout. And this last one, we had probably about 120 vehicles show up, and we closed basically from Town Hall down to East McCopper Street. So need a little bit room for growth, maybe a little bit better room for controlled entrance and traffic flow, and maybe change the scenery, put it in the park, make it a little bit easier for people to walk around, relax, not worry about traffic flow.
Okay. How much of the park would you need to?
Well, I don't know what the expected turnout with this one would be, but I mean, I looked at the park, kind of actually walked it out and scoped. I'd say with what the parking spots are there in the back, 180 parking spots, which would be maybe half the park, right where the back playground set is, where the skateboard ramps are, back to the back. That'd be about it.
So pretty much where we did the Halloween.
Halloween, yeah. Have you discussed this with park
I
manager?
have not had a chance to.
Do you have any comments, Mr. Manager? Come on up to the mic, please.
I mean, my question is, do we have other park events going on at that time? Because
That's
this
what I need.
sounds like it should have been done.
No, we don't have any more park events going on during
Okay.
that day. No, I have not talked to him. I found out about it over a Facebook post. Somebody sent it to me. Hey, what's going on in the park? I don't know. I talked to Veronica about it. She talked to Brian. And we like having stuff at the park. We want to know when something's going on at the park so we can plan for it, staff it, whatever we got to do. The biggest issue I've got with it is it's a holiday. It's a Saturday holiday, and we're just coming out of our fall season. We'll be finishing up our fall season that week before. And 2 weeks before this event, we'll be doing the trunk or treat on that Saturday night, the last Saturday night in October. I don't even know what date that is, but I guess from my standpoint is it's a lot for us, because if we're going to have something at the park, we want to staff it. Because if something goes wrong, have issues, whatever. I don't know how long it's going to be. I don't know how long you want, I don't know what the time frames are or anything like that. So, I mean, it's your discretion what you guys want to do, but from my standpoint, I didn't know anything about it.
Okay.
Getting advertised that it was happening at the park. I guess that was the biggest issue I've had with it. Like I said, we like having stuff at the park. We want to showcase the park. We're having National Night Out down there right now as we speak. But whatever you guys decide, we'll go with. But at the end of the day, I would prefer it staying at the depot this year, and then maybe next year, if we wanted to move it to the park, that would be better for my department and myself. But like I said, it's at your discretion. Whatever you guys want to decide, we'll go with. But I'm just saying that, we'll be coming out of our fall season where we're working down there 4 days a week and 4 or 5 Saturdays. We're doing the trunk or treat the last Saturday of the October on top of that. So it's just going to be a lot, and we'll roll right into the winter sports season the week after Thanksgiving. So that's just my opinion. Nothing against his car show. I'm sure it's a great event. But that's just kind of where I'm at with it. So it's, like I said, it's your discretion. And
Sounds like we have two options.
Could I make a comment, Mr. Mayor?
Sure.
Staff is also going to need some direction on what to charge for the event, because obviously renting the depot, there's a charge. I don't believe we have a charge for renting the park. And then if we're going to have officers being staffed, are we going to just do that as an in-kind? Is that going to be reimbursed?
Yeah.
And then, that's a lot of people, and then it's one way in and one way out. So just something to consider.
It feels like this needs to be referred back to administration for further investigation. Are you willing
Given
to
this date,
deal with
wait
it,
till
Madam
next year.
Manager?
Well, Mr. Mayor, if
Sure.
you don't mind, sir, we've had car shows in Andrew before. How many did you have last time? 120?
Mm-hmm.
Were you able to accommodate them all?
Yeah. But it was, like I said, we pushed down to East McGovern Street.
Okay.
And the closer it got down that way, we could only fit cars on one side of the street.
Right.
Face them toward each other.
Right. Well,
It would be a little bit longer, or something took a bit more room, but.
my opinion, and it's only mine, is just short notice to the parks. It might be that you have to cut off at 120. I know our businesses downtown, every time we have something down there, they prosper from it, and we really need that downtown. And my opinion, I mean, just mine only, would be to leave it downtown. And if you have to cut it off at 120, then next year, get with Derek, get with the town manager, get with who you got to get with, and organize it, and
Other discussion?
No, I have to agree with you, Junior. It's such short notice to make this switch, and I think it's something that needs to be planned in advance a little bit more. And with that, so I think you've got a good point about you do it to a certain size. Certainly could see it going to the park without a doubt, but I think a little short planning here on that. Is there anything that helps them in any way that we own all of that parking space and everything back over there?
Or the police department.
Or even the police department area, is that usable at any point?
I mean, if we haven't started
Just
construction,
as a-
can they use that?
Parking
I
lot?
don't think that would be an issue. I guess my previous experience with folks who have classic cars is they're going to be a little bit picky about where they want
Sure.
to park. So maybe the spectators could park there, but I don't think, that those with classic cars would park there. Did you have something to say, Mr. Guy?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't want to. So one instance that we did have was, and I know that's booking of the depot. There was 2 events that happened the same day. And Abercrombie's had a poker run that same day. So they had their area blocked off, and we had actually rented the street. So I was not able to use the street the way I was supposed to be. But he had no idea about the car show until the night before.
Well, I totally agree with the mayor. When it comes now, it's back, like, sounds like it needs to go back to administration and get with Napa Tandy's and all these vendors, people downtown, and say, hey, this,
Me and him spoke. I got his number, so I've been in contact with him about
When is this thing
The
happening?
question I got for you, though, the last 2 shows you've had here in Anger, have you reimbursed the town for the law enforcement and all of that? So that, we got that somewhere.
Okay, is,
And for the record, we have no problem having things at the park. That's not, that's not, it's just kind of the notice, the timing and all of that. It's kind of where we're at
as
with
far
it.
as staff, who would you need?
We'd probably have to have a person down there the entire time,
Okay.
just to kind of make sure, because, we have to have bathrooms that have to be stocked. If there's an issue with anything that goes on, like electricity, I'm sure some people may need some electricity, may not, I don't know. Like I said, I don't know, but from our standpoint, we always plan for the worst, hope for the best kind of thing when we do an event, because we want everybody that attends the event to have a good time.
well, this is just August 1st. Should we allow the town manager to take action or investigate this and come back at the workshop? Will that work? All right, the motion is that we put this on the table and have the town manager report back at the workshop in August
For downtown only or both?
for whatever y'all can
For moving
work
it to the
out.
park.
Whatever y'all
'Cause
need to
we've already
work out,
approved it.
yeah.
I would say just keep it at the depot or on the street for this year, and we can look forward next year for more.
That's my
If we don't have
recommendation.
nothing that's really
So-
pressing that's going to be at the depot, do we? That
I was going to say, I hope that some of these issues with the double booking and the miscommunication between, events and downtown business owners will be alleviated once we get a community development coordinator. Yeah.
Okay, so is it the consensus then that we continue as originally planned?
Okay.
Are you okay with that? All right. Okay, thank you. All right.
thank you.
So we have the approval for the depot for the street closure?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, we have any bookings?
Have we not already approved this?
Twice.
You've already looked, there's no book.
Okay, so it as approved previously. Okay. All right.
Perfect.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you for discussing it with us. Okay. Budget amendment number 1. Who would that be? Okay.
Thank you. Since I am the budget officer, I prefer to
That's true.
present the
Yeah.
budget amendments. And so it is a normal course of action for an amendment to come before you. So I would say there are a couple of considerations. The general fund, we are using funds that were already in the budget in the contingency fund to fund the 1.5% COLAs that you approved, to fund the health savings accounts because we had more participants than we originally thought that we would have, and to recognize the contribution that the ABC board made to the police department. Of course, we have to bring that money into our budget. And there was a project, a parking lot project from last year in the general fund. And of course, at June 30th, all of those funds fall back to the fund balance, so they have to be reappropriated this year. And so that is what your general fund is doing. And then the other Junie Road, Willow Street Capital Project Fund, Water and Sewer Fund, Elevated Water Storage Tank Replacement, and the Munitions Training Field Fund, those are all capital funds. And so those are projects that were started last year. And like I said, June 30th fell back to fund balance, has to be reappropriated this year.
Okay, any questions of the manager?
No, these are formalities, basically, is what they are. And,
Right.
and
Because everything was
the money was approved to
before.
begin with, and it just didn't meet its usage, and now we got to send it over to next year. So,
Yep.
any
Okay.
more? Make a motion.
You want to?
Sure. I make a motion to adopt budget amendment number 1.
All right, any discussion of that? If not all in favor, please raise your left hand. Okay, it's passed. All right, thank you. Just want to be sure you're all paying attention. Okay. There's one more thing for the town manager. She needs authority to sign checks.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. So typically, whenever you have a new manager to come on, you adopt this resolution that says you are in agreement that I can be on the signature cards and sign checks for the town.
Who else is authorized?
Hans is on there. I believe you are on there. Veronica, do you know who else? I think that's all.
Okay.
I think that's it, yeah.
All right. That seems pretty straightforward. Any discussion or motion?
I make the motion
The motion over here.
that we give the town manager permission to sign the bank signature cards.
Any discussion of that? If not, all in favor, please raise your right hand. Nope. Okay, it's passed unanimously. All right. Now, the manager's report.
Manager's report. Thank you, Mayor and Board of Commissioners. I've spent the last month getting to know our staff and getting to know some community members. I've been dropping by downtown businesses. I still have quite a few to meet. We've really just been rolling forward with the projects that you have established for the current year. We were fortunate to host Leadership Harnett last week. We hosted them here in the boardroom. I anticipate hiring a new community development coordinator within the next couple of weeks. We had some very promising candidates. And I did want to provide an update on the space here. I do not have an install date from Conterra. I am actively trying to engage with them to get that information, but unfortunately, our planning staff cannot move here until they have internet.
Ms. Manager, is it time that we get the attorney involved in this? Or you already have? I mean, this has been going on a while.
I haven't, I have not involved Dan, no. I mean, I guess we could look at the terms of our contract, although I know that they're getting out of their contract is pretty punitive.
Well, we're month to month at this point, aren't we?
I think you're thinking about the rent. We're talking about the Conterra internet agreement.
Oh, okay.
Yes. So I think
Well, I mean, we're just replacing that with something.
Right. So they have to come over here and install it. So that's the
Have
holdup.
they said why it's taken so long or what the hang-up is?
So the person that was supposed to forward the service order was fired, and so there was a period of time where there was no one in that role. And so now I'm working with a new person and trying to get that going.
Okay.
I will pass that along.
Done that thing with people being fired or resigning or whatever, the new people.
Right. Right.
Wow, it has been going on.
It has been.
Could we discontinue that contract and seek someone else to install it?
We could, but it's a pretty punitive, I think it's a 5-year contract, and so typically you have to pay for your years that you didn't use it. So I think that would be something that you all would need to consider. Is that
Fair enough. Okay.
Yeah, is paying that lump sum.
How much do we have left on that contract?
I'm not certain how much is left on that. I think all of their contracts are like that. I had a contract like that in Catawba. And so we could have gotten internet service much cheaper, but the buyout of the contract made it not cheaper. So we just kept rolling on with it. So you're welcome.
Wow.
Okay. I assume staff reports are before you, and have any questions? Although the staff members, only a few of the staff members are here, and that's a result of really thinking about having the staff members just sit here during every meeting if they don't have anything to come before the board. So.
Mr. Mayor, if you don't mind, Derek, while you're here, I want to ask you just where are you at with your advisory board?
And
put you on the spot.
does the town board need to approve that?
It's in this paper.
I don't know. That's a good question.
I mean, all the other advisory boards we've set up.
It's in his report.
So we have not started taking applications or anything like that yet. We're still in the planning phase of it. Hopefully we'll have something in place by the end of the fall, maybe. We're thinking like November, December. We're hoping to get something going at least by the end of the year.
It's a good thing for you to have one.
Absolutely. And I would, it would please me if you guys would approve it.
Let's
and
do
make
that.
A motion and approve that.
Yeah,
If
how many
that's-
members-
If that has to happen. I mean, it can't hurt, I don't think.
And you want to have at least 7, hopefully 5,
We'd
try
like-
to go
I
7.
mean, we'll take a minimum of 5. I mean, if we get 9 or 10 or 12 or whatever, that would be great. The more people we get involved, the better. A lot of times.
Will this be
Especially
volunteer, Derek?
Yes, this will be a volunteer basis.
And you already have several, from my understanding, that's
We're
wanting.
starting to reach out as we get into our fall sports season and we see some of them face to face. We'll reach out to more. What I would like to see is I'd like to see the majority of in-town residents be part of that advisory board, but we would like to have some out-of-town residents on it as well. But we'd like the majority to be in-town residents. Yeah. Hopefully it could work out that way, something like that. But
Was this something, Dan, that Dan can help with? I mean, and keep it simple, like we have with what we found, with our development board, like wanted to put way too many people on there, and then they had vacancies and nobody wanted them. You couldn't vote because you didn't have. I'd say you can always amend it and change it.
I would like to have like a minimum number
Mm-hmm.
and then a maximum number. And as long as we have that minimum number at a meeting, you can do whatever you need to do.
What's
But
your
it seems
max?
Like some of our community advisory board, they have trouble getting people to the meetings, and then they have
Yeah.
people.
What's your
sign up
max?
and then- I don't know. Hadn't thought about it. I think the minimum should be 5,
8, 9.
10?
Okay.
maybe 10, 5 to 10.
Mr. Mayor, if you don't mind, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the advisory board up to 8 people. Is that good, Derek? 9?
9.
9.
8. Uneven number. Yeah, I think
9.
an uneven number would be good because I don't want to be the one to break the tie.
For the Parks and Rec.
With a minimum of 5 to.
With the majority being in-town residents. So if we had 9, at least 5 have to be in town, 4 would be out of town.
I second his motion.
Okay.
Do we need to go as far as to say as like for a service of 2 years? I mean, with these other boards rotated in and out, so you didn't have the same kind of people. This also takes the weight off of your shoulders. Should someone need to be removed from the board,
Right.
you're not stuck being the bad guy or whatever, but the rotation system, it sounds like to me this needs a little bit more tweaking.
That's what I
Normal?
was going to say. Maybe
Workshop.
something. Yeah, maybe we could discuss and bring a more formal proposal
Okay.
before you
Yeah.
on the August 15th meeting.
Is the consensus of the board
and
that
I'm like I said, I just thought about this in the last two or 3 months. I know I brought it to you guys a couple months ago, I guess, because it seems like every small town that experiences heavy growth gets to the point where they need an advisory board, and we're there. And we need other voices, other ideas besides my ideas or your ideas or whoever. And it's always good to have more people that have an investment, have a stake in it. To help,
Derek,
you know,
by
make
saying that,
decisions.
you made a statement a while ago about Andrew. What Andrew, you want to kind of keep it what? Andrew citizens or what?
Well, we want the majority of the advisory board members to be in-town residents.
Okay, but annex
And the
places
minority-
can.
Yeah, that they're in town.
Okay, so they got a
yes.
part
Like
of it,
these
yeah.
new subdivisions that are
Right.
that are in-town residents, yes.
right?
Right,
Absolutely.
okay,
But
okay.
that's what we want. We want to keep, I mean, we do want to keep it open to out-of-town residents because the vast majority of our participants live out of the city limits.
Correct,
So we do want their input as well.
correct.
So in lieu of any motion, would it be the consensus of the board that we
Come back
refer
with
it to
more
the town
formal-
manager to work on the structure?
And I'm trying to recall if we have a specific policy in place on volunteer boards. We may not, but if we don't, it might be something that we could put together.
We-
Either a town-wide policy on volunteer boards or a specific
We normally vote on the members of boards, such boards.
I think this would be equivalent to what we have with the community development board, or what was the downtown development board.
Right. Yes.
That was that kind of board where voluntary.
What you want to make sure is that everyone understands that they serve at the pleasure of the council, and they can be removed at any time for any reason. And, you probably want to have some sort of term limit where they need to be reappointed.
That had a rotation on it of some way that you knew that you were going to not lose everybody at the exact same time, and some were appointed immediately to maybe serve a 4, some only a 2. I don't know. You have to look back to see how it was structured.
And someone on a volunteer board, someone might not be willing to sign up for a 4-year term, so you might want to have shorter, 2-year, 1-year kind of things.
Yeah.
Right.
To get it started. Yeah.
Okay.
The one with the county's 3 years, 3-year term.
Right. Okay, so with the consensus of the board, we'll refer this to the town manager to develop it further. Okay? All right.
Mr. Mayor, while you're here, Derek, I got one more thing to bring up to you.
Go ahead.
I know you're not gonna like this, but is it time? I know I've mentioned it to the manager earlier tonight, and I've had other people bring it to me. Knight's a good example. Is it time for us to talk about maybe opening that road up again, or you'd rather not?
When we build a community center, we're going to open that road up.
Okay.
That's the plan.
Okay.
That's all I need to hear. Thank
Okay.
you.
I didn't say if. I said when. You heard that, right?
Get me. We need some money. We need some money.
Do you have any more?
No, sir.
Okay.
You're doing a great job.
All
Again,
right.
congratulations on your son.
Any other staff reports or partial reports? If not, okay. All right, we have, although I'm not aware of what the essence of it is, which I probably should know, we have a closed session pursuant to 143-318-11A6 to discuss a personnel matter. Is there a motion that we go into closed session?
Yes, sir. But I would like to ask a question, Mr. Mayor. Don't you have to approve these?
I do. Dan, isn't that right?
But he needs to prove it before they ever put it on the agenda, don't he? Just going forward, just for the record.
The town manager requested this, and there was a notice about it in your weekly communication.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, just to remind people that, we just don't do this willy-nilly. Okay, good enough. All right, I will entertain a motion to adjourn, and then after 5 minutes, we will temporarily adjourn and come back together in a closed session. Okay. All right, let's go.